This neural network achieves 98% accuracy with minimal computational overhead, I said quietly, correcting the slide that claimed our system was basically perfect. Vincent Lawson, my boss and the chief executive officer of Kestrel Wind Media, shot me a look that could have frozen the entire conference room. The three investors from Bright Ridge Ventures sat across from us, their expression shifting from polite interest to genuine curiosity as they processed my words. My name is Alice Thompson and I am 52 years old. For the past 8 years, I have been the Senior Technology Director at Kestrel Wind Media here in Portland, Oregon. I spent 18 months developing the proprietary machine learning system that Vincent was now presenting to potential investors. And watching him oversimplify my work felt like watching someone butcher a masterpiece. The technology was sophisticated, nuanced, and required careful explanation, not the flashy buzzwords Vincent favored. What Alice means? Vincent interrupted with a forced smile, is that our system is revolutionary, industry-leading, game-changing. He clicked to the next slide, which displayed a graph I had never seen before. The numbers were wrong, grossly inflated, and I felt my stomach clench as I realized what was happening. Dr. Patricia Kim, the lead investor, leaned forward. Could you elaborate on computational overhead you mentioned, Alice? Our technical team will want specifics. Her sharp eyes moved between Vincent and me, and I could sense she was picking up on the tension. Vincent's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. I can handle the technical questions, Patricia. Alice is here to provide support if needed, but Dr. Kim continued looking at me expectantly, and I found myself caught between professional integrity and workplace hierarchy. The system requires approximately 2 GB of memory per 1,000 data points, I explained carefully, with processing times averaging from milliseconds per query on standard hardware. These specifications allow for scalable deployment while maintaining accuracy rates between 96 and 98% depending on data complexity. The other two investors, Robert Chen from the financial side and Jennifer Walsh from operations, exchanged glances and began taking notes. Dr. Kim nodded thoughtfully. That's significantly more realistic than the projections in your slides, Vincent. We appreciate accurate technical data. Vincent's smile never wavered, but I could see the muscles in his neck tense. Of course, Alice is very detail-oriented. The way he said it made detail-oriented sound like a character flaw rather than a professional strength. As the meeting continued, I answered 3 more technical questions that Vincent deflected to me, each time providing honest, accurate information that contradicted his oversimplified rant. By the time we shook hands and the investors left, I knew I was in trouble. The ominous feeling in my chest told me that my honesty today would cost me dearly tomorrow. The next morning arrived gray and drizzling, typical for Portland in November, and I settled into my office at Kestrel Media with my usual cup of coffee and sense of purpose. I had joined the company 8 years ago as a software engineer, fresh from a divorce and looking for a new start in my professional life. The small media technology firm specialized in content management systems, and I had quickly proven my value by streamlining their existing architecture and proposing innovative improvements. Vincent had been different then, more collaborative, more willing to listen to technical expertise. He had promoted me to Senior Technology Director within 3 years, recognizing my contributions to the company's growing reputation. I had developed relationships with our existing clients, understood their needs intimately, and had spent countless late nights perfecting the machine learning system that was now attracting investor attention. My colleagues respected my work. Jennifer Murphy from the marketing team often sought my input on technical specifications. For client presentations, David Reeves, our operations manager, regularly consulted with me on implementation timelines and resource allocation. Even the junior developers came to me with questions, knowing I would take time to explain complex concepts thoroughly. But Vincent had changed over the past 2 years. Success had inflated his ego, and he had begun taking credit for innovations he barely understood. The machine learning project had been my initiative from conception to implementation. Yet Vincent presented it to the board as his strategic vision. I had documentation proving my authorship, emails, code repositories, dozen documents. But I had never felt the need to defend my contributions until recently. Yesterday's investor meeting had been months in the making. Brightage Ventures was known for funding cutting technology companies, and their interest in our machine learning system represented a potential $15 million investment. I had prepared comprehensive technical documentation, realistic timelines, and honest assessments of both capabilities and limitations. Vincent had asked for my materials a week ago, claiming he wanted to review everything thoroughly. Now I understood why he had seemed so confident during the presentation. Despite clearly not understanding the technical details, he had memorized and selected portions of my documentation while ignoring the crucial context and limitations I had carefully outlined. The inflated performance claims and impossible timelines he presented could have seriously damaged our credibility if the investors had not asked pointed questions. I worried about the long-term implications of Vincent's approach. Brightage Ventures was not just any investment firm. They specialized in technology companies and employed their own technical due diligence team. Dr. Patricia Kim held advanced degrees in computer science and had founded two successful startups before becoming an investor. She would not be fooled by marketing hyperbole for long. My phone buzzed with a text from my daughter Claire, who lived in Seattle with her two children. Hope your big presentation went well yesterday, Mom. Call me this weekend. Her message reminded me that I had responsibilities beyond this job, people who depended on my stability and success. Whatever Vincent planned to do about yesterday's meeting, I needed to be prepared to protect not just my career but my family's financial security. Vincent called me into his office at 10 a.m. sharp, his expression carefully neutral as I sat across from his mahogany desk. The Portland skyline stretched beyond his corner windows, and I could see the morning fog still clinging to the west hills. His office always felt designed to intimidate, expensive furniture, awards prominently displayed, and a general atmosphere of corporate power that made visitors feel small. Alice, we need to discuss what happened yesterday, Vincent began, his voice carrying the measured tone he used when delivering bad news. I've been thinking about your performance during the investor presentation and I have some concerns. I kept my expression calm, though my heart rate quickened. I thought the meeting went well. The investors seemed satisfied with the technical information they received. That's exactly the problem, Vincent said, leaning back in his leather chair. You undermined my presentation by contradicting the projections I had prepared. When I say our system is revolutionary and game-changing, the last thing I need is someone nitpicking about computational overhead and accuracy percentages. Vincent, those weren't nitpicks, those were fundamental technical specifications that any serious investor would want to verify. Dr. Kim specifically asked for detailed information. His eyes hardened. Dr. Kim asked me and he chose to delegate the question to you. But your response made it sound like I didn't understand my own company's technology. He paused dramatically. It made me look incompetent in front of investors who were considering a $15 million commitment. I felt a chill run down my spine. I was trying to provide accurate information. If the investors make decisions based on unrealistic projections, we'll never be able to deliver on their expectations. That's not your call to make, Vincent snapped, his carefully maintained composure cracking slightly. I decide what information investors receive and how it's presented. Your job is to support my decisions, not second-guess them in front of potential funders. He opened a folder on his desk and slid a document across to me. Effective immediately. You're being reassigned to a senior developer position. Your salary will be adjusted accordingly, a reduction of $20,000 per year. You'll report to David Reeves instead of directly to me. The words hit me like a physical blow. After 8 years of building my reputation and expertise at this company, Vincent was demoting me for telling the truth. I stared at the paperwork, seeing my title change from Senior Technology Director to Senior Developer, watching my authority and influence disappear. With the stroke of his pen. This is punishment for providing accurate technical information, I said quietly, struggling to keep my voice steady. This is a lesson in knowing your place, Vincent replied coldly. You're a talented developer, Alice. But you clearly don't understand the bigger picture of running a technology company. Perhaps this will help you focus on what you do best, writing code and following instructions. I looked up at him, seeing the satisfaction in his eyes, and nodded slowly. You're absolutely right, sir. I clearly misunderstood my role here. My voice was respectful, almost submissive, and I watched Vincent relax slightly as he interpreted my response as acceptance. Good. I'm glad we understand each other. Welcome to your new position. I returned to my office, soon to be my former office, with the demotion paperwork clutched in my trembling hands. The familiar space that had been my professional sanctuary for 8 years suddenly felt foreign and temporary. My computer monitors displayed the machine learning code I had written. Thousands of lines of elegant algorithms that represented months of careful development. Vincent wanted me to know my place. I was beginning to understand exactly where that place should be. I spent the morning methodically backing up my Filesonto external drives, ostensibly to prepare for my move to a smaller office in the development wing. But I was also preserving evidence of my work, every email, every design document, every piece of code that proved my authorship of the technology Vincent was claiming as his strategic vision. If he thought I would quietly disappear into the background, he had seriously underestimated me. Jennifer Murphy knocked on my door around noon, her face reflecting the gossip that had already spread through the office. Alice, I heard about the reassignment. I can't believe Vincent would do this to you, especially after how hard you've worked on the machine learning project. These things happen, I replied carefully, aware that anything I said would likely make its way back to Vincent. I'm looking forward to focusing more on development work. But Jennifer wasn't buying my diplomatic response. Everyone knows that technology is your baby. Half the company comes to you with technical questions instead of going to Vincent. This is completely unfair. After she left, I sat alone with my thoughts and growing anger. Vincent hadn't just demoted me, he had tried to humiliate me in front of colleagues who respected my expertise. The $20,000 salary reduction was significant, but the loss of credibility and authority felt even more devastating. I was 52 years old, too experienced to be treated like a junior employee who had spoken out of turn. My phone rang at 1:30 p.m., interrupting my brooding. Fecular identification showed a number I didn't recognize with a Portland area code. I almost ignored it, assuming it was a sales call, but something made me answer. Hello. Is this Alice Thompson? The voice was crisp and professional with a slight accent I couldn't immediately place. Yes, this is Alice. Who's calling, please? This is Dr. Patricia Kim from Brightage Ventures. We met yesterday during your company's presentation. I hope you don't mind me calling directly. I obtained your number from your company's website directory. My heart started racing, of course. Dr. Kim, how can I help you? I wanted to follow up on some of the technical details you provided yesterday. Your explanations were extremely helpful, and I have a few additional questions that I hope you might be able to address. She paused slightly. I also wanted to discuss something else with you. If you have a few minutes for a confidential conversation. The word confidential sent a thrill through me. I have time to talk, Alice. I want to be direct with you. Yesterday's presentation revealed some concerning discrepancies between your technical expertise and Vincent's understanding of the system you've developed. Our due diligence process includes verification of key personnel and their roles in developing the technologies we're considering. Funding. I chose my words carefully. What kind of verification are you looking for? We need to understand who actually developed this machine learning system. The technical specifications Vincent presented didn't align with the realistic assessments you provided, and frankly, his responses to our follow-up questions suggested a fundamental lack of understanding of his own company's primary innovation. My mouth went dry. I see, Alice. Our research indicates that y'all hold several patents related to machine learning applications in media technology. The algorithms you described yesterday match the methodologies outlined in your published research from 3 years ago. Is it fair to say that you were the primary developer of the system Kestrel Media is offering? The moment of truth had arrived. Vincent had just demoted me for telling investors the facts about my own technology. Now those same investors were asking me directly about my role in developing it. Yes, I said quietly. I designed and implemented the entire system. The machine learning architecture, the optimization algorithms, the user interface. All of it was my work. That's what we suspected, Alice. We need to have a longer conversation about this situation. Would you be available to meet with me privately? This afternoon, I met Dr. Patricia Kim at a quiet coffee shop in the Pearl District, far enough from Kestrel Wind Media's offices to avoid running into colleagues. She was waiting at a corner table when I arrived, her silver hair perfectly styled, and her expression both professional and sympathetic. At 60-some, she carried herself with the confidence of someone who had built and sold to successful companies. Before becoming an investor, Alice, thank you for meeting me on such short notice. She said as I sat down with my latte. I wanted to discuss yesterday's presentation away from your office environment. I appreciate you reaching out directly. Though I should mention that Vincent reassigned me to a different position this morning, apparently. I overstepped me bounds during yesterday's meeting. Dr. Kim's eyebrows rose slightly. Had demoted you for providing accurate technical information to potential investors. The official reason was failure to support management decisions and undermining the presentation. I replied, trying to keep bitterness out of my voice. Vincent felt that I made him look incompetent by correcting his projections. Alice, I'm going to be completely honest with you. Vincent did look incompetent, scary. But not because of anything you said. He looked incompetent because he was trying to present technology he clearly doesn't understand while claiming it as his own innovation. She sipped her espresso and leaned forward. We've been researching this investment for 3 weeks. Your name appears on patents, academic papers, and conference presentations related to this technology. Vincent's name appears on none of them. The validation felt overwhelming. After months of watching Vincent take credit for my work, having a respected investor acknowledge my contributions was both gratifying and vindicating. Our technical due diligence team ran a preliminary analysis of the algorithms you described yesterday. The computational overhead calculations, the accuracy ranges, the scalability limitations. Everything you said aligns perfectly with our independent assessment. Vincent's projections, on the other hand, were wildly optimistic and technically impossible. What does this mean for the investment? I asked. It means we're questioning whether current leadership can effectively scale this innovation. Bright Ridge Ventures invests in technology companies, not marketing companies. We need to be confident that the people running the business actually understand what they're selling. Dr. Kim pulled out a tablet and showed him a detailed technical report. We had our team analyze the patent filings and published research associated with this technology. Alice, you're not just the developer of this system, you're the inventor. This is your intellectual property being presented as Vincent's strategic vision. The implications hit me like a thunderbolt. Vincent wasn't just taking credit for my recent work. He was trying to build an entire company valuation around technology I had created while treating me as a replaceable employee. What would you need from me to complete your evaluation? I asked carefully when he detailed technical documentation, realistic development timelines, and honest assessments of both current capabilities and future potential. We also need to understand the organizational structure that would best support continued innovation in this area. I met her gaze directly. You mean you need to know whether Vincent is essential to the company's success? That's exactly what I mean. Our reinvestment committee meets next Friday to make a final decision. We're prepared to offer $15 million for a 30% stake in Gistral Wind Media, but only if we're confident in the technical leadership. She paused meaningfully. Right now, we're not confident in Vincent's ability to lead technical development. The coffee shop suddenly felt charged with possibility. Dr. Kim was offering me the chance to claim credit for my work and potentially reshape the entire company structure. But I also knew that crossing Vincent publicly would have serious consequences for my career. What exactly are you proposing? I asked. That depends on what you're willing to do to protect your innovation and ensure this company's success. Over the next 2 hours, Dr. Kim and I developed a plan that was both elegant and risky. She needed comprehensive technical documentation that proved my authorship of the machine learning system along with realistic projections for future development. I needed protection from Vincent's retaliation and recognition for my contributions. The solution was to make the investment contingent on my involvement in a protected leadership role. Alice, we're not trying to orchestrate a coup, Dr. Kim explained as we reviewed her proposal. We're trying to ensure that our investment is protected by having the actual innovator in a position to guide the technology's development. She outlined the terms that Brightage Ventures would present to Vincent. The $15 million investment would be contingent on several conditions, including the establishment of a Chief Technology Officer position, reporting directly to the Board of Directors. Rather than to the Chief Executive Officer, the position would come with equity compensation and contractual protections against arbitrary dismissal. Vincent will know this came from our conversation. I pointed out he'll suspect. But he won't be able to prove anything. We'll present this as a standard requirement for technology investments, which it actually is. Most of our portfolio companies have protected technical leadership structures. I spent Wednesday and Thursday compiling the documentation Dr. Kim needed, 8 years of emails, code repositories, patent applications, and dozen documents told a clear story of technological innovation driven by my vision and expertise. The evidence was overwhelming and meticulously organized, creating an undeniable record of my contributions. Vincent, meanwhile, was growing increasingly nervous about the investment timeline. He stopped by Menu's smaller office several times, fishing for information about any investor contact. Alice, have you heard anything from the Brightage people? They've been asking for additional technical documentation. I haven't heard from them, I replied truthfully. Our communication had been entirely through personal email and phone calls, not company channels. Friday afternoon brought the moment of reckoning. Vincent called an emergency meeting with the senior staff to discuss Brightage Ventures' final investment terms. I sat in the conference room with David Reeves, Jennifer Murphy, and 3 other department heads, watching Vincent's confident expression gradually transform into confusion, and then barely concealed panic. They're demanding organizational Changes as a condition of investment, Vincent announced, his voice tight with frustration. They want to create a chief technology officer position, with broad authority over technical development and direct board oversight. David Reeves, who had been my supervisor since the demotion, looked puzzled. But you handled technical strategy now. Vincent, why would they want to split that responsibility? They claim it's standard practice for technology investments, Vincent replied, clearly struggling to understand the implications. They're also requiring that the position filled by someone with demonstrable expertise in machine learning and media technology applications. The room fell silent, as everyone realized there was only one person at Kestrel Wind Media who met those qualifications. Vincent's eyes found mine across the conference table, and I saw recognition dawn in his expression. He understood now that his attempt to sideline me had backfired spectacularly. Alice, he said slowly, I believe they're expecting you to fill this role. I hadn't heard anything official, I replied calmly, but I would certainly be interested in contributing to the company's technical strategy at that level. Vincent's jaw worked silently as he processed the reversal of fortune. 3 days ago, he had demoted me for undermining his authority. Now he needed my expertise to secure the investment that would determine the company's future. The irony was not lost on anyone in the room, and I could see several colleagues struggling to hide their satisfaction at seeing Vincent's comeuppance. We'll need to discuss this privately, Vincent said, his voice strained with the effort of maintaining composure. Of course, I agreed. I'm available whenever you're ready to talk. Monday morning brought Vincent's complete surrender disguised as a strategic decision. He called me into his office at 9 a.m. The same mahogany desk where he had demoted me just 5 days earlier, now serving as the stage for his humiliation. His expensive suit couldn't hide the tension in his shoulders, or the dark circles under high eyes that suggested a weekend spent contemplating his limited options. Alice, I've been reconsidering the organizational structure in light of the bright Ridge investment opportunity, he began, his voice carefully controlled. I think creating a chief technology officer position could benefit the company's growth trajectory. I sat across from him with the same calm demeanor I had maintained during my demotion, letting him struggle through his prepared speech while internally savoring every word. The board has approved the position, and I'd like to offer it to you. The role would include equity compensation, a significant salary increase, and direct involvement in strategic planning. He slid a contract across the desk, and I noted that my hands didn't tremble this time as I picked it up. The terms were everything Dr. Kim had negotiated and more. Chief Technology Officer with board oversight, a $40,000 salary increase from my original position, stock options that would make me wealthy if the company succeeded, and ironclad protections against arbitrary dismissal. Vincent had been forced to not just restore my authority but expand it beyond what I had ever possessed. This is quite generous, I said, scanning the contractual language that made me effectively untouchable. What changed your mind about my role in the company? Vincent's smile looked physically painful. I realized that I may have underestimated your contributions to our technical development. The investors have made it clear that your expertise is crucial to their confidence in our future success. I see. And my previous reassignment, an unfortunate misunderstanding. I hope we can move forward with a better appreciation for each other's strengths. The words seemed to stick in his throat, but he managed to get them out. The contract signing took place that afternoon in the main conference room with the entire senior staff present as witnesses to my restoration and elevation. Vincent's announcement of my promotion to Chief Technology Officer was met with genuine applause from colleagues who had watched my demotion with dismay. Jennifer Murphy beamed at me from across the table while David Reeves nodded approvingly at what he correctly interpreted as justice being served. Dr. Kim attended via video conference represent Brightage Ventures' satisfaction with the organizational changes. We're confident that Alice's leadership of technical development will position Kestrel Media for sustained innovation and growth, she stated formally, though I caught the hint of a smile in her expression as I signed the contract that made me Vincent's equal rather than his subordinate. I felt the sweet satisfaction of a plan execute flawlessly. The machine learning technology that had been my life's work for the past 18 months was now under my direct control, protected by board oversight and investor backing. Vincent could no longer take credit for innovations he didn't understand or dismiss expertise he couldn't match, but the real victory went beyond title and salary. The respect in my colleagues' eyes, the confidence in Dr. Kim's voice, and the barely concealed defeat in Vincent's posture all confirmed that merit had triumphed over manipulation. I was no longer just a talented developer following instructions. I was the recognized architect of the company's most valuable asset. Vincent extended his hand for our congratulations and I accepted it with professional grace. I look forward to working together in this new capacity, I said, my voice warm, but my eyes conveying a different message entirely. He had taught me to know my place, and now he was learning that my place was at the top of the technical hierarchy he had tried to exclude me from. The lesson was complete, and the student had become the teacher. Vincent's attempt to marginalize me had exposed his fundamental inadequacy as a technical leader, and nearly cost the company its most significant investment opportunity. In the months that followed, his authority steadily eroded as board members, and investors recognized the disconnect between his claims and his capabilities. Within 6 months, he was quietly asked to step down as chief executive officer, replaced by an experienced technology executive who understood the value of collaborative leadership. His final departure came with a modest severance package, and the understanding that his reputation in Portland's tight-knit technology community had been permanently damaged by his treatment of the very innovation that could have secured his legacy. Dr. Kim's confidence in my leadership proved well-founded, and Brightage Ventures eventually increased their investment to $25 million. As our machine learning technology gained market traction, under my direction, we expanded the development team, secured 3 major client contracts, and began exploring applications beyond media technology that could transform the company into a significant player in the artificial intelligence sector. As I settled into my corner office, larger than Vincent had been, I often reflected on the strange trajectory that had brought me from demotion to triumph in less than a week. Sometimes the most effective revenge isn't plotting elaborate schemes, but simply allowing incompetent people to reveal their true nature, while positioned to capitalize on the opportunities their failures create.